Accompaniments. Chord symbols have been included throughout the entire syllabus. They're on everything, including some of the technical exercises, and I'll explain that a little bit later in the second session. You might be wondering why we would choose to do that. Well, not every musical theatre educator is also a pianist. And so we wanted to make this as accessible as we possibly could. I can play piano, but I'm pretty bad. However, give me a chord chart and I can faff around for hours on a chord chart, and I'm pretty comfortable doing that. If I have to play something from the score, I have to practice. So you'll find chords on everything. Usually the only people that complain about the chords are people who play piano really well. So do you know what you do if you play piano really, really well? Don't ignore the chord. Thank you so much. Ignore the chord. They're not hurting you. But for those of us that love a chord, we're delighted. We're delighted. Thank you so much. So, chords on everything. Of course, when you start to get into Sondheim and Adam Gettel and the guys that wrote that beautiful musical, Grey Gardens, really, really wonderful, chord symbols almost mean nothing. So do bear that in mind. You'll see a chord and you'll play it and you'll go, yeah, no. Then you'll need to go back to the page and have a little look. Let's talk a little bit about piano accompanying, yes?
Sorry, just a quick question. Are the allowances in changing key the same or similar to the other?
Yeah, I've got a whole bit on transposition, and I promise you'll have lots of questions when I get to the transposition bit. I promise I'll answer that when we get there. Accompaniments. It is standard practice in musical theatre. I need to be really, really clear about this. It's standard practice in musical theatre to not play the melody line in the accompaniment when you're accompanying a musical theatre performer. So that's just a given. You just don't do it. However, there are a few exceptions. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But I've given you a sort of an example from, I think this is a preliminary piece. Where you would delete the melody just as a step, you take the melody out from any kind of piano playing. The problem with you playing the melody along with the student, and do I acknowledge that some of your 12-year-olds are going to need the melody played? I acknowledge that. But you'll notice in the vocalises that even from preliminary, we will give the melody sometimes and then we'll take it away. And it's on purpose. And then progressively, as the vocalises progress up through the grades, the melody line begins to evaporate from the piano part on purpose, because it's just common practice in musical theatre to not have that melody line there. There's a really good reason. I'm sorry about the quality of that, but this is I Got Lost in His Arms from Annie Get Your Gun. Gorgeous piece. The first part of that song is almost like a recitative. So nobody would actually sing, "Don't ask me just how it happened." No one would sing that. You'd get a chord, "Don't ask me just how it happened." Chord, "I wish I knew." A very free interpretation is what would be called for. So it would be almost like a recitative in that first little bit. I encourage you to go through your scores and to make sure that wherever possible, wherever you feel that you can, allow the student to be as expressive as they want and to create their own performance. Now, I'm sure that you're all thinking, yes, but in the examining situation, where it says correct rhythm, won't the examiner mark them down if they sing what I just sang? Well, no, because the correct rhythm on the page isn't correct for performance in musical theatre. What is correct in musical theatre can mean lots of things. And it is, again, about that. Me finding my own personal way to tell you the story that only I can tell you, this way. And me discovering that and telling you. Does that make sense? That's really the heart of the syllabus. I know that's a journey for lots of you. Believe me, it's a journey for the federal AMEB. When I said to them, this is what we're going to do, and they were like, but how do we examine that? And oh my God, and surely correct is correct. No, because the correct rhythm here that's on the page is a guide. And composers in musical theatre fully understand and fully acknowledge that the biggest missing quality in musical theatre performance is you. You get to stand up and deliver it as only you can, uniquely. That's what's interesting. I don't want a duplicate performance. I don't want 7,000 Ethel Mermans arriving and there's no business like showbiz. I don't want that. I want a unique performance from whoever's in the room, depending on who you are and your life experience and all that sort of stuff. Does that make sense? Yeah, great. So this second one is from Urinetown. This is Follow Your Heart from Urinetown, Hope's song. It's quite sparse, and of course this is an orchestral reduction. It's quite sparse, and there really is only the melody line in the accompaniment, and of course that's what you would play in there. But just a couple of examples to show you what we mean there. Any questions about that? No? Terrific.